Hey guys, in 1668 a book was published by Thomas Hobbes, and within it he made a treatise on the nature of human nature and of war. And from that treatise came this famous paragraph. I'll give it in its full context. Usually you just get the last part. He said, "In such condition there is no place for industry, because the fruit thereof is uncertain, and consequently not culture of the earth. No navigation, nor use of commodities that may be imported by sea, no commodious building, no instruments of moving or removing such things as require much force, no knowledge of the face of the earth, no account of time, no arts, no letters, no society, and which is worst of all, continual fear and danger of violent death. And the life of man is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish and short." And it's just that last sentence that is most commonly kind of used. And also from Macbeth, William Shakespeare, the king's just learned that his wife has been murdered or has died, and he says, this is Macbeth speaking, "She should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted falls. The weighted dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." Now, I think that those two bits of prose really exemplify the reason that so many people are Christian. You know, I'm sure that you must have heard Christians say, well, if it's all just random chance, what's the point? Or if there is no God, what's the point? Or, you know, that if there is no God, how do we know what's the right thing to do? How do we know what's moral? You know, you might as well just go and do anything. If Darwinism is true, why don't we all just murder each other? And these views expressed in these two pieces of prose very eloquently articulate the seeming futility of existence, I guess. And I would be the first person to say that I don't anticipate my own demise in the next 20 or 30 or 40 years, or who knows, could be tomorrow, with any sense of enthusiasm whatsoever. It's all very well to say, well, you didn't exist for eternity before you were born, so this is just going to be like that. But the difference is, before I didn't exist, I had no awareness of the pleasures of existence, and now I do, and I don't frankly look forward to it. So I have a lot of sympathy for anyone who is fearful of annihilation and non-existence. I would much sooner live until I want to end than have my body break down and that's the point when I have to stop living. You know, for me personally, as somebody who really loves technology, it's all the exciting technology things that are coming that I most am sad about. This will sound funny to you guys, but when Lord of the Rings, the first three were being made, Peter Jackson versions, I thought to myself how tragic it would be if you had a fatal illness. I know it's selfish and silly, but if you had a fatal illness in between parts 2 and 3, and you probably wouldn't get to see the third part. I thought it'd be horrible to finish with something undone like that, something so cool. And then he released The Hobbit, and I wished I had a fatal illness. But still, anyway, but the point is that it's very, very easy to see people who turn to religion out of fear for their own mortality, or the sadness of loss of a family member who's died, or you know, even for me, when I see statues and photographs of people who are dead, you know, 100 years, and they're so full of life and so vibrant, to think that everything that was them except a 2D image, or, you know, photograph of a 2D image or a 3D sculpture, but, you know, it doesn't imbue the essence of it. It doesn't give you the essence of that person. It's just a shadow of what they were. And I feel tremendously sad at the loss of those people, even though I never knew them. It's particularly strange when you see like a photograph of a young person or a child and you think that person has grown up and had a whole life, and maybe they're happy, maybe they died in the First World War, who knows, you know. Or when you see Greek sculpture, I mean, you know, any number of things could have happened to them, and that sense of kind of the mystery of what their life was like really fills me with I don't know what the feeling is it ennui? I don't know, but anyway, but it's a strange feeling anyway, and it really makes me feel sad about the nature of mortality. And it got me thinking about the nature of chemotherapy. Chemotherapy, I saw a video by Thunderfoot recently, and his father apparently has cancer, and so he's been doing a lot of research into cures for cancer. And in his video he talked about chemotherapy, and he said something that I didn't know, which was that chemotherapy doesn't cure cancer, it just abates it. So in case you didn't know, what chemotherapy essentially does is it poisons your body to such a degree that virtually every part of your body dies, and the cancer cells in theory die or regress to such a level that they are no longer a threat to you. And you'll often hear about people having repeated treatments of chemotherapy, and I've heard of people, even kids who've had chemotherapy, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 times, and then eventually they just say I'd sooner die. So it can't be very pleasant at all to be brought that low. And I know somebody who's been having chemotherapy now for 17 or 18 years, and he's still alive, but the last round was particularly brutal, and the cancer had spread in his body. But for all of that, most people, I think, would sooner have chemotherapy than die. You know, chemotherapy is essentially death while alive. It makes you feel terrible, it kills your cells, it makes you violently ill, it makes you nauseous all the time. It makes your hair drop out. It really does destroy your body completely, but yet most people would sooner have chemotherapy. And I wondered if Christianity or religion was like chemotherapy for your spirit. You know, we know that it's a lie. Christians know that it's a lie because there's so much of it that they don't follow. And they play these mental games with themselves to deceive themselves about the nature of Christianity. But in their heart of hearts, I don't think they're fooling anybody, least of all themselves. But they would sooner pretend to believe this lie than face the reality, the nasty, brutish and short reality of Thomas Hobbes' view of the world at war. And really, you could apply that to a lot of normal life as well, not just the war. And even knowing that Christianity is a lie, if what it does for your spirit, for example, I saw a documentary about a family whose child had died, and that they still had very strong Catholic beliefs, and that they talked about how much it gave them comfort. Now, I would call it false comfort, because they're lying to themselves to get the belief, or maybe they weren't, maybe they genuinely believed it. But the thing is that it genuinely helped them to get through an absolutely heartbreaking situation of having a baby who lived for, you know, not even 24 hours, and coping with that. So, you know, in the same way as chemotherapy just keeps you going for a bit longer, but ultimately is toxic to your body, in many ways religion comes with this poison, this toxicity of belief that if religion were just a belief in Sky Daddy and this benevolent figure up there and this afterlife, and it came with none of the other crap, the bigotry, the hatred, the misogyny, all of the kind of limiting beliefs that go with it, I would say in an instant, well, look, it's not true, but knock your socks off, you know, or fill your boots, whatever. You know, you believe what you want to believe, you're not hurting anyone. But when you look at this Indiana Freedom Act, for example, this Indiana Freedom thing where they want the religious freedom to be bigots. That's when religion becomes corrosive. And sadly, it seems to me that whilst religion does make you stupider because you have to change your fundamental belief of the way the universe works, I would say, well, if you want to be ignorant, that's your own decision. But the sad thing is that the people who suffer the price for religious belief is usually other people. You know, it's gay people, it's women, it's whoever, you know. And that's my real problem. So although it is chemotherapy, it's like giving chemotherapy to your dad so that your mum can survive. And your dad pays all the price and your mum gets all the benefits. Now that's fine if your dad's willing to go through that to save a life, and what father probably wouldn't, you know. Many people donate organs to siblings and family members, but what if he didn't want to go through that? What if he didn't want to be near death and take that chance so that she could survive? So I think ultimately, even though religion does do a lot of good, and there's no doubt that the fear of death makes Christians very charitable and do the right thing when they might not otherwise do, but ultimately I feel that the harm that religion does to those who don't share those beliefs is greater than the spiritual benefit of a delusion, and that's why I will continue to oppose it. You take care. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please take the time to rate and comment, and it would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe. Thank you.